Hello everyone and welcome back. For today's lesson we're going to be working on the ear again, but this time we're looking at it from the front of the face. So this is how we will see it if we're looking at the person straight on. So let's jump straight in. So the first thing we're going to do is, as usual, we're going to draw on just the outline of the shape. So unlike the last one where we looked at it from the side, where we saw a pretty large sort of C shape, this time it's a bit more of a squished one. Okay, so we'll start with just that helix on the outside. Slightly getting this in. And then we'll bring it back up here. And remember what I said about the earlobe being attached for some people and not for others. So just make sure that you bear that in mind when you're drawing it as well. Okay, so there we go. And remember, this airplane is leaning at an angle, so like that. So it's not flat like that. It's not flat like that. It's leaning slightly backwards like that. So here we go. I'm just putting some of my head for context as well. My hair's around there. My jaw comes down there. Excellent. Good. So now let's start on the inner part of the helix, just here. And make sure that you show that proper thickness here. Remember, this is just outlining at the moment. In fact, it might be a good idea for me just to take this entire line down here. We lose a little bit of the form here because of the tones being very similar. But if we keep our eyes sharp, we can sort of see it. I think I've taken that too low. Let me raise it up a bit. I think it's more sort of around here. I'll have to check that later. But we'll see what happens. All right, good. And round here. And this isn't quite observation, of course, I'm seeing it from a photograph. But it does carry a lot of the same skills and techniques and tactics that we use for observational drawing. So you're still continuously looking at what you're drawing and then looking at your drawing itself. So look at the reference, look at the drawing, look at the reference, draw on the drawing, and just repeating that over and over again. Okay, down here you've got a bit of dark tone here with no clear lines, so I'll just do that very lightly dotted. So that's a bit too low. Now, taking this picture was not as easy as you'd think, because I'm not sure if you've noticed, but when you take a photo from the front, whether it be a selfie or anything like that, or just a normal photo that someone else has taken of you, the camera lens distorts your face. So you know when people say that the camera adds £10 or things like that, it actually does stretch you out slightly. So sometimes when you take a photo of the front of someone's face, you won't be able to see as much of the ears as you do in real life, simply because the camera lens distorts your face slightly and tucks the ears behind the face and stretches out the middle of your face. So for this one, I actually had to take it a few times and had to angle my ear slightly so that it looks like it would look if you were talking to me in real life. So something to bear in mind when you're drawing from photographs, and why some people find that they'll do a drawing of someone from a photograph and it doesn't look exactly like them, is because the camera distorts. And if you're doing a copy of a questionable copy, then that's 2 times the levels of inaccuracy. So you're going to get some stuff looking weird. Okay, so this is tough. This is tough because right here I'm not dealing with harsh lines, I'm dealing with curves. So all this is not actually lines, they're different segments of tone which sort of stand out a bit more than other parts. So half of this will be gone by the time I finish shading. Like all this will be gone. You'll only really be able to see these lines around here. Okay, because those are the actual folds in the skin, which have significant shadow underneath them. Whereas these are just changed in tone where it's undulating in and out and over and under. Okay, so we've done our outline. Let's do what we usually do. We're going to just shade in the dark parts and leave the light parts, the white of the paper. So I'm just going to jump over to a 2B and we'll start to get these in. Once again, holding the back and just keeping it nice and loose for now. We're going to go in with more detail later on. It's a bit strange because unlike the others where the context will be all around them, with this drawing the context is only this bit here. Behind is nothing, it's just a blank wall. So let's get the general shading on the earlobe there and underneath. Because remember the light is coming from sort of around here in this direction. So let me just turn my screen backwards. There we go. I'm actually not doing this from a physical photo, I'm doing it from a image displayed on a computer, which I can zoom into and zoom out of if needs be. Most of the time I don't actually need to, but having it on the screen is useful. Now, with ears, you'll find it quite interesting because, as I said before, ears vary a lot from person to person. In size, in shape. And to be honest, you don't need to get it perfectly right a lot of the time, unless the ears are a very prominent part of a person's image. Like they have very, very big ears. But a lot of the time you can get away with not having to put too much detail into the ears, especially when it comes to doing cartoon or anime drawings. You tend to be able to get away with just the basics. But when it comes to realistic drawing, if you get the ears wrong, oof, you might be in for a whole host of problems. Although still, it's nothing compared to getting the nose or the mouth or the eyes wrong. It still doesn't carry as much weight. So there, we've done that. I feel like we need a bit more on just this part of the helix. We don't want to blend in too much with the anti-helix though. There we go. And just there. I guess I should just fill in my hair. Okay, for context. Not really sure what I'm going to be doing about the skin there, but we'll leave that for now. So there we go. We have our two tones, we have our darks and our lights all done. Let's start varying the tone. So I'm going to jump straight to a 4B and we'll see what we get. Top left as usual. And I'm just going to go for most of the darkest bits. Now last time when I did in there, I left it quite quite sketchy, more sketchy than I did for some of my other features. So I'm going to try and go a little bit more detailed with this one. All right, and we'll see how that plays out. So we should see a lot less white in this if it goes to plan. Nice and thin there. With some people, this part, the anti-helix, actually sticks out way past the helix, so you'll get this part sticking out like that. It's quite interesting. I'm not a big fan of outlining, but because the background is literally like a really light grey or really light or really dark white, I guess, behind this in the actual reference photo, I feel the need to outline just to remind me to shade inwards. Because remember, there's no outlines in real life. All that happens is the object ends and another one starts. So, or the tone ends and then a different tone starts. Okay, so much for working from the top left. We're now at the bottom right already. I'm doing small circular motions to try and even out how the tone blends. Let me just go down to a 2B again. Just like I might have left a little bit of rubber on there. Need to be careful. All right, good. Now this is not the lightest part. The lightest part of this image is somewhere around here and here. So let's try not to keep it a perfect white down there. Grab my 5B. I'm going darker earlier because I really want to set the standards for the full range of tone in this. I don't think I quite achieved it with the last one. 4B. It's quite an interesting thing because right now we're aiming for a level of realism, but realism is a strange thing in certain parts of the art world right now, especially the fine art world. Because for some time, ever since the creation of the camera and the ability of everyone to take photographs, although everyone is impressed by people being able to do hyperrealism and realistic things, it's not held in the same regard because when it comes down to it, you can just take a photograph. So what's interesting is that while in the fine art world, hyperrealism isn't such a big thing anymore, it's becoming ever more important in the illustration and especially gaming world. And I'll probably do a separate video on talking about why understanding the fundamentals and having a good sense of how to draw with some level of realism is important. I'll probably do that at a later date, especially with wrong pencil, especially with gaming in mind. But simply put, I'm not sure if you saw the technical demo of Unreal Engine that came out recently. But the level of fidelity, the level of realism that's in our games at the moment requires that the artists working on the game can work to a certain level of realism so that it's easier for the 3D modelers to work with, easier for the art director to visualize and be able to show to other teams within the whole development studio exactly what the game will look like and what it's going for. So if you can't work and understand things to a high degree, then you have no place in the industry, because you won't be able to represent anything close to the final product. So there is a lot of use in understanding how to draw the human form, how to understand light, dark, and the fundamentals. Even in this day, even though we have photographs. Okay, now this way is getting a bit weird. I need this to stick out more than that.